The U.S. rejects Beijing's claim that World War II document showed Taiwan belongs to China.
中方不实法律论述的意图是将台湾孤立于国际社会之外等等更广泛行动的一环。
A week after being released on bail, former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je faces a hearing that might land him back behind bars. As the U.S. and China meet for a fourth time to hammer out a deal, the fate of one special social media app is on everyone's lips.
They're negotiating TikTok right now. We may let it die, or we may, I don't know, it depends. Up to China.
Plus, Taiwan is on track to surpass South Korea in per capita GDP this year. But what does that mean for everyday Taiwanese? A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chan. Washington's de facto embassy in Taiwan is rejecting China's use of agreements made after World War II to reaffirm its claims to the country. As Ellen Lu reports, it's an issue that's sparking debate here in Taiwan.
The U.S. is stepping into the debates on Taiwan sovereignty. The American Institute in Taiwan, Washington's de facto embassy, says Beijing mischaracterizes World War II-era documents like the Cairo Declaration and Treaty of San Francisco to claim Taiwan as part of China. It was responding to media questions about Chinese pressure on Taiwan and called Beijing's narrative false, saying none of those documents determine Taiwan's political status. Japan gave up its claims to Taiwan in the 1951 San Francisco Peace Treaty, but left sovereignty unresolved. Beijing, not a signatory of that pact, calls the treaty illegal and invalid, paving the way for its claims on Taiwan. Responding to AIT, Taiwan's foreign ministry also accused China of distorting historical narrative.
中方不实法律论述的意图是将台湾孤立于国际社会之外，并且限制其他国家和台湾互动的主权选择等等更广泛行动的一环。
In Taiwan, reactions to AIT's remarks have been mixed. The Kuomintang-friendly Ma Ying-jeou Foundation released a statement saying AIT's new position contradicts Washington's long-standing policy, which emphasizes no change in its stance on Taiwan sovereignty. The organization added that shifting to a Taiwan status undetermined view threatens Taiwan's security, as China hasn't ruled out the use of force to take Taiwan. But Democratic Progressive Party lawmaker Wang Dingyu told reporters that Washington is responding to China's increased legal warfare tactics aimed at isolating Taiwan. Over the past few years, the U.S. has been emphasizing that its policy on cross-strait relations has not changed. In 2022, the State Department said the following.
One China policy has not changed. We don't take a position on sovereignty, but the policy that has been at the crux of our approach to Taiwan since 1979 remains in effect today. What we want to see continue, what we want to see preserved, is the status quo.
And even for the recent statement, former AIT chairman Richard Bush told TaiwanPlus that it remains aligned with the U.S. government's stance on Taiwan's legal status. And analysts say AIT's statement isn't exactly rare, but expresses the U.S.'s long-standing position on the Taiwan Strait more explicitly.
美国的立场并没有任何的一个改变，所以之所以选这个时机点，我认为说还是主要在于中国大陆不断的在过去这段时间与这个国际社会上面对于世界其他国家进行这个相关的这个误导跟大外宣的一个做法。
The timing of AIT's remarks, also noteworthy, coming just after China's massive parade marking the end of World War II, and Taiwan's recent exclusion from the Pacific Islands Forum. Dolphin Chen and Ellen Lu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's foreign minister has rejected Chinese government criticism of an exhibit of Chinese historic objects on loan in Prague.
其实真正去中国化是中共政权的，其实他们是用这个马列毛泽东思想， 他们是这个唯物主义无神论，他们只是想要垄断对中华文化的解释，可是反而在他们统治下，中华文化是死了。那中华文化因为漂洋过海到新的土壤上的时候，往往就有可能保存，甚至有了新的生命。
Lin's remarks come after China accused Taiwan of using Chinese cultural assets to push what it called cultural Taiwan independence. The artifacts were loaned to Prague by Taiwan's National Palace Museum. They were brought to Taiwan in the late 1940s by the nationalist government during the communist takeover of China. Lin says the collection is a global cultural asset and that Taiwan is using culture to make friends while China uses it to serve political aims. Pacific Island nations have pledged their commitment to Taiwan's participation in their annual meeting. The Pacific Islands Forum released a statement following the 5-day summit last Friday, reaffirming the 1992 decision on Taiwan's inclusion as a development partner. Taiwan's foreign ministry has welcomed the move. Unlike its previous years, Taiwan, along with the U.S. and China, was not invited to attend this year's forum. Media reports suggested that Beijing had pressured host nation Solomon Islands to block Taiwan's participation. Taiwan's defense ministry says it detected a flurry of Chinese military activity around Taiwan in the 24 hours leading up to Monday morning. The ministry reported 26 aircraft, including fighter jets and drones. 23 of those entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This area is not Taiwan's airspace, but acts as a buffer zone for defensive purposes. It also spotted 9 Chinese Navy vessels and 1 official ship operating in the waters around Taiwan. This activity comes just days after U.S. and British warships sailed through the Taiwan Strait, prompting protests from Beijing. South Korea, Japan, and the U.S. kick off annual trilateral military exercises on Monday. This year's Freedom Edge drills are taking place in international waters east and south of South Korea's Jeju Island. Seoul says they're intended to ready its forces against both nuclear and conventional threats posed by North Korea. North Korea's state media has called the drills a reckless display of power, and its leadership is warning of serious consequences in response. The U.S. and China are sitting down for another round of trade talks in Europe, touching on everything from tariffs to TikTok. Analysts, though, are not optimistic for a breakthrough in trade tensions between the world's 2 largest economies. Jamin Truez reports.
How did the meetings go today, Mr. Secretary?
U.S. and Chinese delegations take their leave Sunday after a day of talks in Madrid, Spain. It's the 4th time in 4 months the U.S. and China have met in Europe, trying to salvage one of the world's biggest trade relationships amid geopolitical tensions and U.S. tariffs. As the motorcades depart, it's not clear how far the 2 sides have progressed. They have a lot to work through. Trade ties are strained, a 90-day tariff truce is running out, and in his quest to end the Russia-Ukraine war, U.S. President Donald Trump wants U.S. allies to put their own tariffs on China to pressure it into scrapping imports of Russian oil. And then there's the matter on U.S. President Donald Trump's mind. China-owned social media app TikTok, used by roughly 170 million Americans. The U.S. government's been pushing for the app's Chinese owners to sell its U.S. operations or face a shutdown. So far, there have been 4 extensions of the deadline for the sale. Trump says the app's fate rests with China.
They're negotiating TikTok right now. We may let it die, or we may, I don't know, it depends, up to China. It doesn't matter too much. I'd like to do it for the kids that like it. I mean, selfishly speaking, I did very well on TikTok, and I got the youth vote. I got numbers that nobody's ever even come close to in the Republican Party, nobody.
There's still a 2nd day of talks Monday to sort through these sticky issues, but experts aren't optimistic. And with China launching an anti-dumping probe into the U.S. chip industry and a so-called anti-discrimination probe into U.S. measures towards China's chip industry, there's a chance trade friction could grow even further. Chris Ma and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Former Taiwan People's Party chair, candidate for president, and Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je is facing a hearing that might put him back behind bars. It comes just after he was released on bail a week ago. Our reporter Irene Lin joins us live from outside the Taipei District Court. Irene, how are things looking?
Betty, we're 8 hours into the court hearing, and still there is no decision on whether the court will detain Ko once again. He was only recently released on a $2 million bail after spending a year in detention. Now he's currently on trial for corruption and embezzlement of political donations. Now the district court granted bail to Ko earlier this month because they believe that the chances of Ko colluding with others and tampering with evidence is pretty low at this point. Now, they think he's only the district court but just when Ko and supporters believe that this will be the end to his year-long detention, prosecutors have decided to appeal the court's decision to release him on bail. They say it's still necessary to detain Ko as they finish interviewing some key witnesses, especially after Ko has maintained contact with one of the witnesses during his release, which violated the terms of his bail. Now, this will be the second time that Ko was bailed, then sent back to jail. His first bail was revoked in January. And remember, this is only a hearing to decide whether Ko should be detained, but it's taking them hours. But again, this is a high-profile case, and much deliberation is needed. Now, earlier this morning, we saw about a dozen of Ko's supporters gather outside this courthouse, although the crowd was smaller when Ko was first released last Monday. Now, Ko has been an influential opposition figure in Taiwanese politics, and many of his supporters, despite Ko's corruption charges, have believed in Ko, and they believe that Ko's trial is politically motivated.
Thank you, Irene. That was Irene Lin, live from outside the Taipei District Court. Coming up after the break, a research hub for Taiwan's tech sector shows off some of its newest innovations for a big anniversary bash.
There's so many things that I wish the world could see.
It is amazing to watch this captain maneuver this giant ship.
It takes 3 days to cook this. The flavor is unbelievable, incredible.
And it's my turn to make something inspired by Chef Ko. It's going to be quite a challenge.
Can you imagine that?
It's surreal, yes, so real.
I can't give up. I got some ass kicking to do.
Nice move.
We're pushing each other to explore and experiment in new, different ways.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News.
Exploring the issues that matter to you.
Not just to Taiwan, the whole world is watching.
很多时候是我们眼睛看不到的地方。
We might encounter mishaps and mistakes along the way. But at the end of the day,
it just transmits something straight from the heart. Yes.
Cheers.
Bon appetit.
It is about the fun, and it's about the glamour, and it's also about something much deeper than that.
Sometimes you just gotta seize the opportunity. You just gotta do it.
Have a place where you're appreciated for you exactly as you are, and where you can shine and be seen.
For more stories from Taiwan and Osaka, download the TaiwanPlus app.
At Connected, we believe in the power of dialogue.
Taipei 101 station.
It's not just about the headlines, it's about finding common ground. Join the conversation.
Global semiconductor
administrations.
Connected on TaiwanPlus.
Start your weekend with a cup of coffee and a moment to reflect on what happened this week.
Hello and welcome.
We've got you covered, from defense and politics to high tech and the arts.
Not just to Taiwan, the whole world is watching.
You make the coffee, we make the news.
Here's what happened on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan's agriculture minister is leading a trade mission to the U.S. in a bid to reduce U.S. tariffs. The delegation will start in Washington and then split into groups, focusing on Taiwan's top U.S. farm imports: beef, soybeans, corn, and wheat. They will travel to rural states to meet with industry groups and local officials. Taiwan runs a trade surplus with the U.S., largely due to its chip exports. Yet it is the 8th biggest market for U.S. agricultural products. Some U.S. farm exports, such as pork, have been the subject of protests and trade restrictions by Taiwan in recent years. And the group will be in the U.S. until September 27th. New data shows Taiwan's economy may be outperforming South Korea's for the first time since 2003. The Statistics Bureau puts Taiwan's GDP per capita this year at over $38,000. That's $600 higher than South Korea's. On the streets of Taipei, there was a mix of reactions to the news.
感受真的是很开心，我们能够有这个机会可以超越韩国，因为韩国毕竟他们也是跟我们很多东西都跟我们竞争，旗鼓相当。
如果一般人民的平均的基本薪资还是跟不上通膨的话，其实 GDP 成长对普罗大众来讲，其实没有什么很实质性的帮助。这样。
Analysts credit the gap to Taiwan's AI and tech export boom and slowing growth in South Korea. To find out more about Taiwan's GDP growth and why people don't necessarily feel more well-off, our reporter AIT spoke to Jinrong Cho from National Central University.
South Korea's GDP is now estimated to lag behind Taiwan's, the first time this has occurred in 22 years. May you explain the significance of this development? And what does it indicate?
简单来讲，就是说台湾展现了它在经济上面的韧性啊。那我在 GDP 组成的这个各个层面，无论是在投资或者是在出口，甚至是在内需上面，都有非常长足的成长。如果用助跑或者是飞机起飞来说明的话，就是说在过去这一段时间7、8年的时间，其实已经蓄积了一个非常强大的这个起飞的动能哈。那这个起飞的动能不但使得现在 台湾的人均 GDP 渴望很快的赶过南韩，甚至有机会在未来能够更加持续的成长。
Could you also explain why this is happening, given the similarities of their export-oriented economies?
台湾在投资方面呢，有一个非常大的过去有一个非常大的弱势，就是投资率不足。是2018年是开启了美洲贸易战，川普在第一任的时候开启了美洲贸易战。那这个美洲贸易战呢，有一个非常巨大的效果，就使得台商回流。 那台商回流使得台湾的投资率，就是投资占 GDP 的比重呢，瞬间从大概不到20%，瞬间提高到27%。回台湾投资之后，它带动的后续的包含出口的畅旺啊，从台湾直接出口，而不是透过在中国制造。那这件事情呢，也让台湾在出口的动能上面获得非常大的益助。那再加上这几年我们也看到了哈，过去原本台湾跟韩国竞争最激烈的这个半导体产业。 台湾在过去这一段时间有非常长足的进步，好，特别是在先进制程的晶圆制造上面，好，那台积电现在已经某种程度啊，把三星甩在后头很远了。
Although Taiwan's GDP per capita is estimated to surpass South Korea's, its average salary still remains lower. Why is that?
就是我们看到的人均 GDP 有一个非常亮眼的成长，但是我们付出的代价，那也某种程度来讲，因为低成本嘛。 也包含人力成本在里头，所以我们过去啊，的确是某种程度去压抑薪资的成长，来成就整个人均 GDP 的成长。那所以这个薪水低，某种程度代表了物价低。在这个情况之下，它其实我们可以说它取得的是另外一种平衡啊。那韩国虽然你看到它的薪水很高，但是它的物价其实也很高啊。如果我们换个角度，从购买力平价的 GDP 来看的话。 那我们其实早就已经领先韩国很多了。
That was Jinrong Cho from Taiwan's National Central University. Following Taiwan's Semicon last week, the country continues to promote its technological prowess with Innovation Week. Taiwan's top national research lab, ITRI, kicked off the events by showcasing their tech to Vice President Bi-khim Hsiao and TSMC Chair C.C. Wei. Chris Goring was there in Hsinchu and brings us this report.
It's a big week at the Industrial Technology Research Institute, or ITRI, with innovation events designed to turn lab inventions into products that keep Taiwan competitive. At their Hsinchu facility, ITRI gave demonstrations of its tech to important guests like Vice President Bi-khim Hsiao, Economy Minister Gong Mingxin, and TSMC Chair and CEO C.C. Wei. Technologies on display included an AI engine that auto-generates stylized images and videos, a modular 3D packaged AI chip that boosts on-device performance while using less power, and a new steel H-beam manufacturing process that reduces carbon emissions. Vice President Hsiao says that Taiwan's innovation comes from the society's resilience.
全球贸易体系也正在改变、重塑的过程当中，我们当然有看到一些风险，但是这当中更看到。 过去到现在，台湾总是在挑战当中不断的创造奇迹。
The event, which also marks ITRI's 52nd anniversary, saw the group announce 5 new laureates for their contributions in the fields of semiconductors, engineering, and healthcare. Other sessions at this week's research event will focus on startups, smart healthcare, and robotics. Fu Ha-hong and Chris Gorin in Hsinchu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwanese boxer Huang Xiaowen has won gold at the 2025 World Boxing Championships in the UK. Huang beat Yoselai Perez of the US to win the women's 54-kilogram division. It's Huang's third World Championship gold after previous wins in 2019 and 2023. She also won a bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics. Taiwan has won bronze at the Under-18 Baseball World Cup in Japan. The team edged out South Korea 3-2 in the third-place playoff game. The game was a tied back-and-forth battle, but Jiang Ting-yi delivered a crucial hit at the top of the 7th inning, bringing in the winning run. Taiwan has now finished in the top 3 at the event for 4 years in a row. A weaving workshop in eastern Taiwan is bringing historic ethnic patterns back to life, and with these motifs, a way of life that's disappeared. Misinterprets has the story.
In the small township of Fonglin, near Taiwan's east coast, people are reclaiming a century-old heritage of making cloth by hand. Spurring the movement is Li Meiling, a lover of textiles and weaving. At first, Li's interest was in the rich, living traditions of indigenous handicrafts native to this part of Taiwan. But gradually, she started asking herself whether her own ancestors, the Hakka people who migrated here later on, had their own weaving traditions. What would her own great-grandparents have worn? Over a decade of research on historic garments later, she now has a good idea.
这一件就很特别，它是清朝末年的，然后它的是我们目前采集到花纹最漂亮、最繁复，所以它一串上面就会有3个以上的图文，然后非常的美丽。
Hakka weaving, as she's found out, tends to be subtle and plain, with patterns mostly relegated to the edges of clothes. With survival most people's prime concern, only the wealthy could splurge on fancier items like these. But what decoration there is elegant, restrained, and painstaking. This 20-centimeter strip of decoration took 3 days to weave. And it isn't simple. It's been so long since people wove these motifs by hand that Li and her team have had to use an app to help analyze how it would have been done. Meanwhile, they've also had to get familiar with a range of plant dyes, how to make them, and how to get it so the thread takes the right shade. These days, Li and partners have a community workshop that teaches Hakka weaving, especially to people in retirement. Though the average age of the learners here is around 80, even they don't remember a time when this kind of clothing was commonplace. But they long wanted to do more to document and promote the style, and now they have. Since 2020, Li's been collecting Hakka patterns for decorating women's clothing, and she has now put them together into a book with other tidbits of Hakka culture and language mixed in. The 12 types of historic motifs featured in the book include floral, bird, nature, and even text-based designs. all recreated with modern tools.
其实最想要记录的是我们当时候怎么从学织布到寻找自己的客家文化，然后再从100多年前的客家传统服饰上面采到我们以前客家织女的图文这样子。其实它里面也牵涉到我们花东的客家移民啊文化故事。
Local Hakka weavers have showcased the craft in London with a special appearance at the 2023 London Craft Week. And back in the community, too, they have plans to bring back not just weaving, but more a way of life by reintroducing the cotton plants used to make the thread and more.
第一个社区地图专门弄成一个类似观光景点这样，示范走，又走得走一些成品，贩售怎么个他们走得安尼。
The aim is a full chain of education and experience so that this renewed form of weaving once again becomes a part of this community's everyday life. Devin Tai and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out footage from the red carpet at the Emmys in Los Angeles. I'm Betty Chan. Take care and see you next time.